is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/bgunlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Street Masters, which is a game that I ended up playing this like a friend came over, because I kept hearing things about it, and I was like, I played it once and immediately had to get everything.
Yeah.
Like, this game is so much fun. I mean, I've never been one that's like super big into like 2D fighters. Like, I didn't play a whole lot of Street Fighter. My game of choice was Mortal Kombat, which that's the one that I've consistently played. Really, I mean, I think yours was Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah,
right?
Soul Calibur was my jam.
So, which all have their own unique, like, you know, their perks and their things that are like their issues, but it's never been one that I'm like, I have to play a 2D fighter. But this game is so much fun. I love it.
Yeah, it feels like a neat beat 'em up. You know, like, oh, we're all pretty well badasses, but you know, your timer is like your hit points and whatnot, and you know, it felt fairly balanced. We were all pretty close.
Yeah, I was at 10.
Yeah, we were.
Kat was at 3, 4, 5, 6. You were at 11.
Yeah.
I think we were all at half health.
Yeah.
Or you were a little bit under.
It's not bad.
But yeah, you had 11 health, and then I had 10 health left, and you had 7.
Because I got a lot of my health like right at the beginning of the game. Like a
Yeah.
lot. I was like, ugh.
Well, because it's interesting the way that the game flows, like, is so I think so clean and streamlined. This game could have been extremely clunky, like, especially for a Kickstarter game. It could have been all over the place. They want to do every meticulous little rule. Like, I know they have the 3 different types of attacks, but really all that really matters is what type of defense tokens that you happen to get.
Right.
And then that can come in, but even that streamlined. The way you attack, the way your turns go, and it's like, okay, well, I draw from the boss deck. Then I do an act. The act is probably the most confusing because you have your move, your card step where you play a card, and then you have your action step where it says card action, so that makes you think, oh, can I play a card there?
Yeah.
But nope, it's like, nope, if you have a card that says action, you do that action.
Right.
And you always have your basic action.
You always have your basic action. And then you react to everyone that's kind of in front of you. You just go down the line. Which can, I guess, also feel confusing because it's like they have the engaged with, and that makes you think, oh, I'm engaged with this guy
Because they're in front of me.
And because of a lot of games do that. Devin, you would know Arkham Horror LCG. The enemies that are in front of you, you are engaged with.
Yeah.
Not the case here. I think that's their way of just, instead of one person trying to keep track of all enemies, okay, when do they go? It's you as a player being like, okay, well, these are the ones that I'm in charge of. That doesn't mean that I can only attack them or they only attack me. It's just, that's who I manage.
Yeah.
And it spreads that out across the players, which I really, really like. And then you draw a card, and then you flip it to show that you've gone.
Yeah.
This game is so much fun. I love every aspect about it. And even, I'll say this, I've played the same mission twice. Like, with the same Brotherhood, the same stage, and, like, those types of, like, some games, when you do that, you're like, yeah, we've done this before. I want to see the new stuff. I had just as much fun doing this again, because it was with different people. Like, the 3 heroes we had, I haven't played with before. And how much damage he was doing and how much was going off and all the minions just made it even more exciting, because there was so much more happening.
Right.
Kat, what do you think?
Oh, I liked it. It was a bit long for my taste. In what I expected, because I was like, okay, it's going to be about an hour, so I had already kind of set my own self up.
Well, I also read for 30 minutes.
But, and also, like, we were just kind of, like you said, like, with the act phase, we were still trying to not bumble through it, because we were just doing what we do, and we were trying to make it more complicated than it really is, because we're used to really complicated games. So we were trying to fumble through that. But, I mean, it was fun, and I just love that, like, I opened up the book, and I kind of flipped through, and I just happened to see, I'm like, oh, they have a panda.
Yeah.
So, like, I love the variety of characters.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah,
there's
I love
a bunch
that.
of characters.
I love that it's co-op. One, I just love that it's co-op. 2, I love that it's co-op, but you also can play solo, and you can do it by yourself that way if you just like just have a night to yourself, and you're like, this just sounds fun.
Yeah.
I want to see how far I can get. I want to see what I can do. I want to test out a new character. You don't have to worry about grabbing your friends and okay, well, fuck, everyone's busy. I think that's cool to have options.
Yeah, because that's kind of one of the downsides, and we might talk about this a little bit later. But it's hard to play this and not compare it to another game that we really like, BattleCon, where it's like, nope, I need one other person who also likes kind of head-to-head games.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate effect of that one. Yeah. I mean, it's a really neat game, really neat mechanics, but anyway, we're not talking about that.
Right. But
I do have a question. So the scenario, with all these armaments and whatnot, is that interchangeable as well as the boss?
Yep.
So, I could have the same boss, but a different scenario where he's has different
It's based off of, so what you do, it's kind of the Smash Up or Enchanters. You pick a fighter, you pick a boss, and you pick a stage.
Okay.
And so all stages have their own unique deck and their own unique rules. Each boss has their own unique thing. Now, the one thing about it is the Brotherhood will be the Brotherhood. It's going to be Boris. It's going to be Dimitri.
I didn't like them. Everything else is cool, but these guys...
they're just big, bulky, heavy hitter motherfuckers. Too many bulks.
It's that or just little women.
But that's the thing, is it's pretty interesting because you just have to kill the guy. We had 4 minions on the board by the end of it, and it's we beat Dimitri, they're just going to run off. It's kind of like at the beginning of our fight where Kat and I were just kind of stuck over here, and we kept fighting minion after minion, and we're wait, we need to break away.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll only be doing this, and we can move faster away from them than they can catch up to us. So
that's where I accrued most of my damage at the beginning, was because we were in that corner, and I'm and eventually I was we have to go fight him. We have to do something different.
Yeah. And so the one thing that that I initially, when I first played this, that I was man, I wish you can change the boss like Dimitri and put him with another group of fighters. So he's not just with Boris. And I think you can. Maybe that's a different a game that I was reading about, that you can interchange some things. But even then, yes, the stage is going to be the stage you can change, the boss you can change, which there's a bunch in here. There's let's see where the enemies. So there's the Kingdom, there's the Golden Dragon, there's Davenport Manor, there's Cybertooth Crew, Clan Hattori, the Cifarelli family.
Oh, the Cifarelli family.
The Cartel, the Brotherhood, the Nahuali, the Oni.
Oh,
Jesus Christ, there's a bunch.
The Onyx League, Paracel Inc., and Recyclord.
Cool.
Recyclord, yeah.
He's what's going to happen if
he's a complexity rating of 5.
Woo!
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, the Ayakashi. 15. The Abandoned. There's 16 total bosses.
Nice.
As well as, I think there's 30 or 40 heroes.
Okay.
And then you have around 30 stages.
Wow.
So lots of different combinations of what you can do, which is one of the reasons why I love it. Is any game that really is just take this deck, and take this deck and combine it.
It just hits all the spots.
It does. It's oh man, because there's almost unlimited replayability. Because once again, what Kat mentioned, this can be played solo, which is fantastic. I would agree with you, however, that it is a little long. That the complexity of with more people, the only thing that changes, besides the fact that more bosses or more...
Yeah, there's quite a bit of space, because you were having some long turns there, and she was having some long turns.
Right.
And it just
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's not so long that I would... But, I mean, the reason why is because what it does is it's just okay, the boss has more health. That's it. There's nothing else. So the more people you have, it's inevitably going to take longer, because you would think it would balance out because, that means you're doing damage and I'm doing damage to the same guy. That's not the case, because there's more minions. There's more things going on that distract us from just fighting the guy.
Right.
So I would say this game is best. I've heard it's best solo, but 1 or 2.
Okay.
But it's weird because whenever I played it as 2, there weren't this many minions. There weren't this many stage events that were going off. So I like that. I probably wouldn't play this with 4, because there's not enough variety in the boss deck or the stage deck to make it starts feeling repetitive.
Yeah.
3 is probably that good cap.
Yeah.
Because whenever you were doing your turn, or when you were doing your turn, I was engaged the entire. I was like, "Oh man, how's he gonna do it? Like, what can we do as a team?"
Right, because you do want to pay attention to what your partners are doing essentially.
Because like there's a lot of neat combinations, even just with these three that I just even thought of. It's just like, okay, one of your attacks you can do is you can attack him and throw him to move him closer to me if I'm further away. So now he's in range of me. I can run up. You can use your steady gaze or what steely gaze to buff up my attack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of combos within, and these are just three of the heroes. One of the times when I did this, it was with Hanzo and whatever his name is, the main guy, Yoshi or whatever, Kyoryu, the Ryu ripoff. It says Hanzo, he could, like I said, he could throw weapons. Like if you're 3 spaces away, I can give you a weapon, which is like a tactic card that you can tap to use as an ability. And then he would have cards that be like, do +1 damage or roll +1 die for each weapon you have in front of you. So there's times where he's like sword, nunchucks, shuriken, and so he can combo off as well. Nice. But he's also good support. Yeah, like I think the variety of heroes is just because like in my experience from playing this game, no one feels similar. Like. Never once was there like a card that you had that I was like, oh, that's kind of close to mine. Like, it was like, oh, you have all those, as well as my combo abilities. And then yours was really weird.
It was pretty weird. It was...
I feel like yours was probably more complex than mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you linked into a bunch of cards. I didn't even know what you were doing. I was like, damn, you feel like you're doing a bunch over there. Are you...
Yeah, because my ability said reveal each card in my hand and resolve the combo effect. On the bottom of each of my cards has something called combo. But I can't do those unless directed by a card to say use the combo ability.
Gotcha.
That's why, like, on my chameleon stance, it says combo heal 1 damage. But above it, I can exhaust it to choose a card from my discard pile, add it, then discard a card to do the combo of that card. I was hoping it was do the combo of this card, because I was trying to heal.
Gotcha.
So yeah, like it did seem like I was doing a lot, but in all reality, it's because I was doing a bunch of combos at once, and that was just my card effect, and then I still had a card to play.
Cool. Yeah, like mine was definitely pretty neat. Just like, I guess I get a bunch of effects, and they gain tokens, and my core ability gives them a bunch of tokens.
Yeah.
So that's this is the attack I'm going to be using.
Yeah.
And then I amplify it, or other people with my own effects. Like, I only had one... Like, I have a few, like, getaway cards and little, throw them away or I jump away, which makes sense as a ranger.
True.
I think I only have one of these. I have, like, one cheap shot where I get to attack.
Like, on your own.
On my own, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then Kat just had a bunch of grapples and intimidation that just took defense away.
Yeah.
Or used defense against them.
Yeah.
As well as, like, Shan was pretty straightforward. You played a card to deal damage. And then his ultimate, I love the ultimates. Like, those are just always cool.
Oh, I didn't get to do mine.
You didn't get to do yours. What is yours?
Well, I fan the hammer.
I
just deal 6 fucking damage.
Oh.
I can either choose to deal 6 general damage to an enemy.
Okay.
Or I can choose to roll 3 red dice.
Oh. Okay.
Targeting an enemy up to 5 spaces away, dealing direct damage. It's direct damage if I use the red dice.
Oh, okay. But you run that risk of doing a spray, or you can do it. That's pretty cool. And yours was at 5 too. You just every time you got attacked, it was always direct.
It's like, fuck, god damn it! Why are people shooting at the guy with the guns?
Right, I know. So the is there any negatives that you guys can think of?
Other than just kind of like a surprising length that like kind of drawn out, but I mean that's like a nitpick to be honest, because it's not like, oh god, that was a 3-hour game, like
right, 2. It was 2 hours.
Yeah, but again, with you talking and
with you not shutting the fuck up. It felt longer.
Well, with your thematic readings of and we were giggling quite a lot.
I didn't even have to read those because on this thing it just kind of tells you
how to play
your character. Yeah. But I was like, I have this compendium. Yeah. Like I'm. It's like I never get to.
For it, you're gonna read from it.
I never
get to. It's a fighting game.
It is a fighting game with all the complicated wild roller coaster lore.
Because I guess that has to come along with it. If it's a fighter, then they have to have just nonsense lore and a backstory that goes on for days. Yeah. You don't pay attention to it because you're mashing buttons.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that would be my only gripe, but I don't really have any.
Right. I mean, it's not even a weird complaint. It might be a complaint to some people because this is at its core a card game. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because this was my first weird complaint was that as a card game, you're only ever really playing one card a turn. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of odd because you think, oh, okay, well, I'm a combo with the cards in my hand. It's like, no.
I think that was one of my first questions. I was like, I can only play one card.
You only play one card. But that's why I think they balance that with the tactics because once you get more tactics in your play area, then you can play a card from your hand, then do a tactic. And if you have exhaust abilities, you can do as many exhaust abilities as you want. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the build-up and the balance. The going back around and doing it again, it's just like, okay, that's not as bad because it really makes you think. It's like, oh god, okay, which one do I want to do? Well, I have 3 Viper Jabs in my hand, so and how do I want to use it with the other cards that I got? But Devin, do you have any negatives?
Any negatives? I mean, aside from, it's probably because our first time, the stretched out turns. It did feel a little long at some points, but definitely it has a lot of upkeep things that are easy to forget.
That is true, yeah.
I mean, with the boss effects, remember the draw. I mean, you just have to kind of get that in the habit.
Right,
I mean, it's the first time picking up a game, you're going to forget a few things.
Right.
But hardly a deal breaker. But yeah, definitely a lot of things that you have to constantly keep updating.
Yeah, because I'm sure there were a few times where it's like we were so excited to do our turn that it's like, oh, wait, before your turn we have to draw this card. Mm-hmm. And it's a minion that is going to go in front of you, and nope, he doesn't go yet. But yeah, other than that, I think that's kind of a negative. Like what you were saying, it's like each time you play this, unless you play with a hero that you've done before, then yeah, it is going to feel a little bit slower because you're trying to figure out all the cards in their deck. Mm-hmm. That has quite a bit of variety, not too much. Every card's not different, but there's enough where it doesn't get samey. That you're going to have that downtime. And especially if you're playing with 3 people and everyone's playing a new character, then it's like, okay, how is this going to work? How's this going to synergize? I feel like that's almost with any card game. Like, you have that same issue with Smash Up. You have the same issue, especially with BattleCon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The best example I can give for this game is that this is story mode for a fighter. BattleCon is PvP, which I've said multiple times at this point. But... and they even have a BattleCon crossover with some fighters, which is pretty neat.
Right.
But what's also cool is, and I gotta do a shout out for this, for 2 things. One, I love that the arena is one board.
Yes.
It's not some convoluted, map where you're running all over. It's a very concise board that is just big enough to be able to move around, but small enough that people can close the gap pretty quickly. So you're always almost engaged in combat. If you're running away, it's going to be a turn before people are up on you again. Mm-hmm. And I really, really like that. The second thing is the fact that this is a Kickstarter that came with like 5 expansions, and they made a specific box that houses everything.
Right.
By itself. I didn't have to buy some extra separate box. I didn't have to buy some insert that is $100 to organize it. It's just all in one massive box. And I love that. I don't understand why more companies don't do that. Right. Like Joan of Arc. I have 7 empty boxes over here. It's like, why not make one massive one or a couple massive ones?
Well, it's just such a waste of product, too. Like, it's just not efficient.
Right.
It's very showboaty.
Yeah, it's like, because a lot of people in this hobby store things on the shelves that I got. Most people, I would probably say, use Kaylee's shelves. And what they don't like is to have one game and 10 boxes underneath it. Like, it's like, I just want the one so I can put it in one spot and then not have to I hate it. I hate having extra expansion boxes.
Well, it's an unorganized mess because, like, you can do that. Like, that can apply to anything. Like, when you have things that are stacked on top of top, and you're like, oh, fuck, I need that one from the middle. You have to precariously, and it's just annoying. Like, I do that at work where I'm like, okay, I need this bottom, like, tray. And I'm like, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to do it if there's a more concise way to do it.
Well, there's a lot of things that come into board gaming where it's like setup can be a barrier. Where it's like, oh god, this is gonna take me forever. But having one thing that I just have to carry in, it's all organized and it's like Gloomhaven, perfect example. If I didn't have the insert, I'd probably never get that game out because it's like just bags and bags and bags, and then but with the insert, it's like, okay, this goes here. Same exact situation here, but they did it themselves, and I gotta applaud them for doing that. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, I love this game. So, you guys got anything else to say?
I think you got it. It's,
Cool. Yeah. And then, like I said, I'll probably do a solo story mode, because I believe every character has like their own story, like related to it. I don't quite know how that works yet, but I'll probably do a small campaign for that. So we'll see how the story mode works. But scale of 1 to 10, Kat.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
A 9.
Yeah, it was very fun.
Awesome. Good deal, Devin.
Yeah, I think I might be up in the same rank there.
Right.
I was vibing a 9 as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Is a 9. This game is just so fun. And another cool thing, the only thing I'm missing is it's called Redemption 2, and all the bosses, like I have Redemption 1 where you can play as Dimitri. You can play as the bosses. That's the Redemption expansion. So the Redemption 2 is the other set of bosses that I have the minis for. I just don't have their decks for them. But yeah, so you can play as Dimitri. You can play as one of the bosses from the cartel or whatever.
Nice.
And it even has a thing in the rulebook where it says if you're playing, like I could have played Dimitri to fight Dimitri in this. And it has and it has rules specifically designed around when a card specifies it's coming from the deck. So if it says, oh, Dimitri gains this, it's like, yeah, it's because it's from his deck. He's the one that's getting it. But I do like that. I always like when you can play as boss.
Yeah, so they're a lot weaker.
I know, right? Like, it's just like, where's
like when you fight them when they join the party.
He doesn't get an RPG. He gets a fucking sweater vest as his bulletproof vest. It's like, why am I playing as this guy? He sucks.
It's double knitted.
So yeah, 9s across the board. Love it. So
good stuff.
It's very fun.
We'll play again.
Yep, so that is our thoughts on Street Masters, everyone. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.